Keep it
Terrence Howard finally got invited.
Man, no, I didn't get to watch
Rogan.
it yet. I literally have it.
I was gonna send it to you. I'm like, he's gonna see it.
I have it. I didn't have time.
I watched it. I
want to watch it.
I don't care. I don't even know what you said because Mel got so excited.
Because I literally
all I heard was
have it
Terrence Howard and Mel starts yelling.
Because I'm excited to watch that.
Well, that means that they probably didn't hear it.
Okay, I'll just talk about what you already know.
Say it. Say what you said again.
Terrence Howard got an interview. It was like 3 hours 9 minutes on Joe Rogan.
I'm gonna watch that bitch as soon as after I finish editing this.
Are you not familiar with Terrence Howard?
I'm familiar with Terrence Howard and Joe Rogan. I don't know the significance of this.
Then you're not familiar with Terrence Howard. When I say, are you familiar with Terrence Howard? You're thinking actor, Empire.
I mean, no. I understand that what he's been doing recently.
Okay.
But I don't follow him.
Do you understand what he's doing? Because
I don't understand.
Because
it's okay to say no.
You said that, but there's the way you're reacting. There's no way.
No.
Terrence Howard has basically pulled the rug. You ever heard me use the term math magician?
Yes.
He's pulling the rug from underneath the math magicians, and the math.
So I know this.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Do you? You're just talking, bro. You don't know. You don't understand.
I understand. I've seen.
Just go.
We're talking about the understanding that he is providing is basically taking us from the Stone Age to future. We're talking about transparent aluminum. We're talking about starships with real force fields. Mm-hmm. We're talking about free energy, like real free energy devices. We're talking the information that allowed you to build the Great Pyramids. We're talking he figured it out.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I know.
And you know the interesting part is, like, even if you just read the comments, because Joe Rogan's back on YouTube. Even if you read the comments.
Wait, he was gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
exclusive to Spotify.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I've okay, yeah.
But if you read the comments under the Terrence Howard video on Joe Rogan, there was a comment under there that said, if Cat Williams and Terrence Howard was to have a conversation, they would just be sitting there nodding their head, telling them yes. Yes.
No one's talking. They're just nodding.
Yes, because it's so intricate. Because, man, that Terrence Howard, his thought process, it's just like his first, like within a minute, the conversation is like Joe Rogan's like, how did you even begin all of this? And then this is what I saw. He was just like, he asked me, do you remember your first memories? And he said, Joe was like, nah, I don't remember. He said his first memories was him being in the womb. Okay. Like being first born, and then he sees something that comes by and he thought it was his friend, but it was actually his hand. And he remembers this, and he's telling himself to remember this stuff while he's in the womb. So if that doesn't make you want to be like, what the hell is this conversation about? Where is about to go? Bro, I'm so excited to watch it.
I've known that Terrence Howard has been speaking, and I've seen him speaking at like colleges.
No, you saw him speak at like one college.
Okay. I mean, maybe I've seen different parts of that clip.
Maybe.
But I've seen him speaking about math. I don't know. What Terrence Howard is doing.
I'm not trying to play. I'm not trying to play.
I have a very.
You aware?
Right, I understand.
Not
I just don't know
for it though.
Huh?
Not enough to be waiting for it.
No, I don't.
Bro, I've been waiting for
this. Same here. I was just like, him and your boy Benjamin Carson, Billy Carson. Yeah. Billy Carson. He should be.
He just confirmed what Terrence Howard was saying.
Right.
He did a. I didn't watch it, but he did something
because he was on Andrew Schultz's podcast.
Who was
Billy Carson?
Oh, was he?
Amazing.
He went all
amazing.
Out. He went all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But the continue with the Terrence Howard.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You don't want to spoil it for you.
That's all good. I'm about to go watch it.
No, because I can't. Right? It's 3 hours. I can't spoil it. I can't.
Yeah.
But I'm just giving so basically, bro. Okay, so there's a dude. His name is Nature Jab, and he's turning plastic back into oil.
Nature Jab.
Oh, the black dude.
Yeah. Nature Jab. the science that the periodic table that Terrence Howard it just made us aware of, really, it already existed. It explains how you could take something from one state back to its original state. It kind of, in my opinion, it explains it because, it's about perception, how we perceive matter, and there's certain levels of matter that we can't perceive, and we're just seeing certain layers of it. And so there's an experiment where they put like ink in this gelatin, this solution that suspends the ink, and then they're able to turn it. I can't explain how this thing works, but they're able to turn it, and then it goes from just those individual ink blobs into a blob of color, right? You just see just all the color mixed. And then they're able to turn it back around and bring all those ink blobs to their original state. We always thought that was impossible.
If they're mixed together?
We think that if something's mixed together, it's random. It's not. So what the experiment shows is there's an order to everything. Terrence Howard explains that order.
So you can literally take them out, like even if you mix red, blue, green, whatever, you can take the green out, the red out.
You can take them back out and bring them back to
How
their
the hell
original
do you
state.
do that when they're
crazy.
mixed?
That's like taking milk out of fucking coffee or sugar
after
out
it's
of
already
Kool-Aid.
mixed.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
But this is the point. That experiment on its own is like, wow. It just tells you. It just tells you like there's nothing random. That's all it tells
Something
you.
here we don't know.
But Terrence Howard, through his Euclidean geometry, or I don't even know the name of it. I think it's called Euclidean. I don't know. I could be using the wrong word. But anyway, he basically tells, now, okay, when you take bubbles, right? I watched this video. It's like a late time talk show from like the 90s or something, 80s or something. And there was this guy, maybe called the bubble guy, I don't know. But he would do all these really cool things with bubbles. And he got fascinated with bubbles. And if you take like bubbles, if you start taking bubbles and letting them connect, they don't pop and turn into one bubble. They create bigger bubbles, and the bubbles has a certain shape, and inside the bubbles you can see certain shapes and stuff. Terrence Howard explains why bubbles do that. And he explains where they got the Euclidean solids or whatever they're called. It's the shapes, certain geometric shapes like a pyramid and octagon and all this stuff. It's basically they took the averages of these lines or these curves that these bubbles make. So these bubbles make these shapes and these curves, and they're taking the average and they're drawing these straight lines through the bubbles, and that's how they're getting the shapes, because all the shapes have these straight lines. But he's like, in reality, nature doesn't create straight lines. Now, I already knew that. Because if you study plants, if you study nature, there's no straight lines in nature. They don't make straight lines. So I already knew that to be true. But when you really start thinking about it, it's like, why doesn't nature make straight lines? It's because everything is energy. If everything's energy, every energy is always expressed in a wave. And waves always are curved. So there's no such thing as a straight line, but they're trying to say that the basic fundamental building blocks of our reality are these straight lines. So it was always wrong. It was always wrong. And because all the science is based on these straight lines and this improper understanding of our reality, there's certain limitations that we have. Our laws of physics, it's like a prison. This is why the greatest innovation, when you look at Nature Jab, the greatest innovation we have from people that weren't formally trained, they don't understand these laws, right? They're just going off what they see and understand from nature. And so he's basically highlighting what he calls the negative space. So when these bubbles come together, there's a negative space. There's a space where they don't touch. There's a shape made in the negative space, and he's accounting for the negative space. Whereas with the traditional math, they don't account for the negative space. They pretend like it doesn't exist, but it's very important and it exists. And by understanding that negative space, we can now manipulate matter in a way that we could never do before, because we are taking into account that negative space that they just basically be like, it doesn't exist. And he also talked about zero. He's like, zero doesn't exist. You know, like the zero is a human construct. They just made it up because in nature there's no zero. It's you're either going this way or you're going that way, and it's a constant progression. There is no zero line. Because there's no straight lines. There's no zero. It doesn't exist. So anyway, the conversation, this was the first time, and this is why Mel's so excited, it's the first time that he's got to sit down and explain it. Now, the thing about Terrence Howard is he's not a professor. He's not a teacher. The way he explains it is going to go over your head. Like you have to, the concepts, the verbiage and everything. It's like, if you just have never studied this before, you're going to be like, what is he talking about? And it's easy to dismiss what he's saying because it sounds crazy if you don't understand it. I just so happen to have studied Nikola Tesla because when I became an electrician, I learned about Tesla. Because Tesla, like what he was doing with electricity was leaps and bounds ahead of what we have now. So I became fascinated with it. And he gives little clues, little breadcrumbs. Terrence Howard starts the process of explaining it. Instead of those little breadcrumbs, like, if only you could understand 9, 6, and 3 or whatever. He's like, no, this is exactly what it means. So anyway, it's incredible. Steven, I know it's not something that's probably on your radar, but I highly recommend that you go and watch it. Mel, I know you're already going to watch it. I told John to watch it last night. And you really need another 6 hours because he doesn't break things like you're not. All right. So anyway, there's that side of it. Now you talk about practical application of this. Because that's all anybody really cares about. The science and stuff, nobody cares how a car works. They just like the Audi. They like driving. They like going fast, right? All right. Now, what excited me, and Mel, you already know about this, is his tangential flight. What this means is you have a center of gravity, a center of mass, okay? And then you have the ability to fly around your own center of mass. So what it essentially does is it almost removes your interaction with quote unquote gravity. It basically allows you to move freely through in the medium, whatever you're in, right? Whether it's the air, the water, space, whatever. It doesn't exist anywhere except UFOs. It's the only time you've ever seen it is with how they describe how UFOs move. In addition to that, because he understands the periodic table more succinctly, from what I'm understanding, he understands it perfectly. He was able to he understands how molecules interact at a much higher level. So, for example, Cat Williams talks about how you can have the ingredients. Water is the only thing you got the ingredients to, and you can't make it, right? Yeah. So Terrence Howard kind of explains how you can supersede the bond between hydrogen and oxygen, and then he created a plasma gun because he can create.
Damn, I do make a plasma.
Bro,
gun.
he made a plasma gun, but he patented as a gun, but he's going to use it for propulsion. As a propulsion system, because it is essentially free energy. He said through tone or through electrical frequency. He basically puts water in a space where it is not allowed to evaporate. It's not allowed to turn into gas and evaporate, and so it turns into pure plasma because of what he does. And he puts a frequency through it that breaks the bonds between hydrogen and oxygen. And then it comes out as pure plasma, and he's basically created a propulsion system that will work in space, right, or just in any environment, pretty much.
Wow.
Like when I say Star Trek,
yeah.
like I'm not BSing. Like he understands. Now, once again, I've done research on this stuff. Terrence Howard is not. This is not the first time I've heard this, so I'm grasping it a little bit better. There was an inventor in the 1900s who created a scooter. It was like a levitating scooter, and he used these bug wings, the wings of these beetles, to create this scooter. And they said he could move up to 1,000 miles an hour instantaneously. He had he basically wasn't affected by gravity at all, which means that he can move at 1,000 miles an hour, but he's not worried about crashing, or he was unaffected by the atmosphere and everything around it. His hat would stay on his head. Like, it was just something that's basically out of this world. And obviously niggas was like, that's obviously fake. And now it's like Terrence is explaining how it works. Like, it's fascinating, and I feel vindicated to a degree, because I know, Mel, if you remember our old podcast, I would talk about stuff like this on our old podcast, and I'm like, and it's like, conspiracy, not you, but like, he's used conspiracy theories, you just like to believe stuff, and I'm like, no, like, it resonates with me.
Yeah.
Right? So now that Terrence can explain it, and he's not just explaining it, by the way, he has patents on this technology. And if anybody understands how patents work, if it's not real, if it don't work, you don't get a patent on it. You can't just, I created the propulsion system for the Starship and this is how it works. No, that patent you only get the patent if it works. It's got to be tangible. It's got to be real. So the patent is factual evidence that what he's talking about is real. So everybody try to play him. Oh, stay in your lane, keep acting, nigga, da 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 da. And it's like,
I hate niggas like that.
It's so annoying because if you just understood just a fraction of what he was saying, you'd see he's not lying.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. Like when he talks about the flower of life and all of that stuff, like forget Terrence Howard. That's not exclusive to Terrence Howard.
Just listen to the information. Forget the person who's giving it or however you perceive this actor or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things that like the reason why I also get excited is because like the minds of those type of individuals, like a Cat Williams who takes you to these unbelievable places that you think are unreal, but it comes to fruition. Like even the way he speaks, like a lot of times when Cat Williams speaks or Terrence Howard, they speak from a level of understanding, similar to how when we were talking about you come off as a know-it-all. It's because I have a different level of knowledge and understanding. So with this knowledge, it's hard not to express things the way that I do, and me wanting you to be to lift that, to see that the veil has been placed over you, and I'm trying to relinquish you from that veil, you know. And a lot of this information, when Chris speaks on it resonating with you, it's like you have a deeper, not necessarily understand, you have a deeper understanding, and also you have a different level of connection to it. And so I get excited because I feel like more of the truth is being exposed, and also it's enabling people to experience it. And like, what other platform than Joe Rogan would be the best platform for people to be exposed to that? Unless he went on Club Shay Shay.
See, no. He wouldn't get this exposure on Shay Shay.
I think he would. It probably wouldn't be to the level.
It wouldn't be to the level of Joe Rogan. And when I say exposure, we're not talking about our community, because yes, it would be the same for us, but for the world, no.
Yeah.
On the world stage, Joe Rogan is the #1 platform.
Yeah.
It's not CNN. It's not TikTok. There's not a platform. So the thing about it is, so he's been working on this for decades, right? He came up with the technology that Microsoft, Amazon, and all these huge companies use for their augmented reality. He has the patent for the technology like that they use. It's like a fundamental platform that they use to build these technologies off of. And the reason why he's not getting credit is because his patent was abandoned because he didn't pay the $200. There's like a fee you got to pay to keep your patents. And he didn't pay it because of a whole thing with his ex-wife, right? So he lost the patents. So then as soon as he lost the patent for it, all these huge companies, I mean, the biggest companies you could think of, IBM, all of them, came, boom, they started using the technology. Well, what I just found out is because they used his technology and built all of this incredible stuff off of his technology, he can then use any technology that was built from his patent.
Oh.
Because he was the original patent holder. So now, even though they have cornered the market on certain things, because he's the original patent holder, he could take everything they built and apply it to anything that he wants.
And they can't do anything.
And there's nothing he can do about it because it's his technology to begin with. Yeah. So in addition to how they're using it, he also, because he's like, they don't even fully understand how to use it. He's like, they have a gun and they're using it like it's a stick. Damn. You know what I'm saying? He was like, so the stuff that, and he's getting more patents, and the stuff that he's planning to do, bruh, it's so exciting. Like, he came out with a wind turbine that is like an ultra efficient wind turbine because of the shape he's using, those linchpin, this shape he came up with, that he discovered, I should say, and he's using completely different shapes. His model for the tangential flight uses props right now, but he said soon enough we won't be using props, we'll be using something. I'm like, bro, this is like, he said for propulsion, because he's talking about traveling different planets, so he believes in outer space and different planets and all that stuff. Which my thing is, like, I don't necessarily don't believe in it. It's just how it's presented. I don't believe in it. So I always give him and Billy Carson, I always give them, a little leeway there because I anyway. So he was like, there is a way to decouple from the centrifugal force of the earth or the galaxy or the sun, right? Like, he's like, we understand through the fake science or whatever that I call it fake science, that our galaxy is moving at a certain speed, our Earth's moving at a certain speed. He was like, in order to travel, you don't have to propel yourself there. You just decouple. And then the universe moves away from you, and you could travel places by decoupling from certain gravitational fields or whatever. And he does debunk gravity. So I'm using the word gravitational pull and field just for, so people understand what I'm saying. But he does describe it as electromagnetic or magnetism. You know what I mean? And so gravity in his world is just a
electronic pull.
Well, yeah, it's an effect of a greater force. They're trying to make it seem like gravity is God and gravity is just like an effect.
I mean, that makes sense. That's a good way to kind of explain it. I've never thought of it that way.
It's a very
what is gravity?
Right. Well, he explains because they can't explain gravity, right?
Yeah.
He's explaining it, but the problem is if they explain it properly, now you understand that gravity's not what it's all, made up to be, and now it starts to unravel. Right. So, yeah. He through some computer system he was able to explain Saturn. He was able to reconstruct Saturn through inputting data into this computer system, and he was literally able to create Saturn with the rings. And apparently Saturn has a hexagon shape at the top of it, which I didn't even know about. He was able to replicate all of this through just inputting certain data into this computer system, and it animates itself. It literally comes to it, bro. When y'all see this,
I wonder how Joe Rogan is going.
Bro, Joe,
like how you know.
Joe, in the beginning of the podcast, Joe Rogan's doing his normal thing, right? But that lasts 5 seconds, and Joe Rogan is just like the rest of the interview, he's just like.
It's like what do you you don't even know what to ask. Like, they can just tell me more. You know what I mean?
Joe Rogan, this is what's so important about Joe Rogan's response to it. Joe Rogan talks to the brightest minds this side of the century, right?
Yeah.
And he has a high capacity for absorbing information and questioning things. So Joe Rogan is the ultimate interviewer. So when Joe Rogan is just like, because usually what he'll do is he will push back on what you're saying by bringing someone else's ideology in or someone else's thesis. But Terrence Howard crushes it all because he's like, this is not a thesis. This is not what I think. This is what it is, and here's the proof.
Yeah.
Here's the proof. You can't refute it. He's like, I will debate. I will have a conversation with anybody. He reached out to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson waved him off.
I would love that.
It
I
would-
would love
That'd
to
be
see
great.
somebody debate
He
him.
would obliterate any academic. And this is what I have said. I've said this. I just said this like last week. I'm like, bro, in modern times, scientists are all theoretical scientists.
Yeah.
They're all theoretical. It's gone from true science, what we've been
Actually
told,
trying stuff.
experimenting
Yeah.
and getting results, to theory.
Just memorization.
It's memorizing,
They
and
just memorize
it's math magicians, right? And Terrence is like, I'll debate any of them because all they have is theories. It's a flawed fundamental belief system. Like it's flawed. It's designed to be proven wrong. Terrence is like, I have the proof, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no one can debate it. There's not a debate. And I'm like, so for the first time in my life, I'm intrigued by this science because it resonates. Science, I've always loved science, but it's always been a question mark. It's like, what about this? That doesn't make sense. It's like, it doesn't really make sense. I'm intrigued. I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, I understand enough of it to be able to kind of get the gist, but I need to actually dive deeper so I can, but it's like, where do you learn it? You got to just learn it from him.
Yeah. It's like, I want him to just teach a class, but I sign up.
Ooh.
Like, if he did like an online course or some shit, I would sign up.
He has a book. 1 × 1 = 2, I think is what it's called.